What's going on, people? Today I'm interviewing actor, producer, director Melvin Jackson Jr. Just waiting for him to join in. Hope everybody's doing all right. What's going on, brother? Welcome to the live. Just waiting for my guest to join in. I hope everybody's doing all right. I hope everybody's good. Good health, good spirits. Brother,
What's going on?
how are you?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
You sound a little far away.
Can you hear me now?
It's really faint.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm holding the phone. Yeah, I don't know.
All right.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you good.
Okay.
Good. So I guess I want to start off with how are you?
I'm doing good, man. Just, taking one day at a time.
Right,
Just
right.
trying to, the older you get, you get all tired and stuff. You're like, man, I can't go like I used to. So I just, not too long ago, woke up from a nap. So I'm gonna, get that old man midday nap.
Listen, you ain't say nothing but a word. You're even a good nap. So how have you been like over the pandemic and stuff?
Man, I've been good, man. I really, I feel like some doors have opened for me, and I don't know. I felt like I got more creative.
Mm.
I even started taking up DJing, and
Oh,
yeah, man, it's been awesome. So it's like during the pandemic, I feel like um, things that you get kind of bored a little bit. So you like, let me figure out how to make sure that I stay active. So
yeah.
I've been doing a lot more consulting. I've been doing some producing, a lot more producing, and now like I said, took start messing around and DJing. Now I'm taking that serious, and so now it's another thing that I can add to my list of services that I offer. So I can't complain, man. I feel like some people during the pandemic um, I don't know, they maybe went through some challenges, but I feel like for me, it just motivated me to go even harder in a different direction and just continue to pursue what it is I love to do, and that's being in this entertainment business.
Yeah. I've been doing this for a while now, and what I've noticed, and that's one of the main questions that I ask people when I talk to them is when we're in the pandemic uh, time span,
Right.
how did they survive or what did they do? And I find that most creatives dug deeper into their bag and pulled out new tricks.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. So I guess let's go back to the to your beginning days. What was it that prompted you to become a creator? Like, what was the thing that first inspired you?
Man, I first, being in the music business, I started out managing artists, and for me, just simply wanting to help artists share their gifts with the world and help them get to their dream and the next level. And so for me, it was always creating music, creating a good feel, something that I feel like people wanted to hear. I always tell artists, I said, man, when you're doing songs, make the songs like singles. If you can do a album full of singles, I feel like, no matter what song you decide to put out, like it's gonna be a hit because you're creating it as a single. Sometimes it's good when you create an album and it's just something you listen to, but when you're just starting out, you want to make sure that something that you have is just continue to hit. Like somebody's album that has like 5 or 6 hits off of it, like like a Michael Jackson or Prince, somebody like that, and it's just like those are the vibe that you want to give. So for me, creating that creative space has always kind of been like get the people what they want. And so, you always can do what you love, but also make sure that you give the people something that can be entertained to, something they can dance to, listen to. And so when I got into the film and TV space, it was the same thing. How can I entertain people and also fulfill my passion? And that's, making
Right.
people laugh. That's making people think, having thought provoked, ideas and things when they sit down and watch the project that I do. Like, what is it meaning? Is it just entertaining? Like, what is the overall message? And so for me, that's being in that creative space is just giving me a way to communicate my love for the craft, my understanding of how it is to just be in this life, man. This live and be
Mm-hmm.
present in it each and every day. So for me, it's, you know, I feel like creating is just showcasing another level of who we are.
Right. And how old were you around that time when you jumped into the music business?
I want to say about 18. It was right after high school, my first, you know, year in college, and decided, you know, being a manager was something that I wanted to do.
Okay. Okay. So I have this premise about
Mhm.
people. I want to go back to when you were around 9 and 10. What did you dream
Mm,
about doing during that time?
it's interesting. At one time, I think I wanted to be a doctor. When I was growing
Mhm.
up, I was like, man, I want to be a doctor. And then I think I watched something, and I'm like, well, my stomach probably can't take that. Like, I have a, you know, sensitive stomach, and I was like, yeah, maybe doctor won't be that. And then I think at some point I wanted to maybe be a lawyer.
Mhm.
And but I don't, you know, entertainment wasn't really like, was far from my idea of like, this is what I want to be when I grow up. I think for me it was just like, my mom told me, you know, you can do anything you put your mind to. So for me it's like, well, sky's the limit. So I never really was like, this is what I'm gonna do, and I stuck with it since I was a kid. Like, you know, being in entertainment, it just kind of, for me, it changed over time, and I started to change certain things, and, you know, went from wanting to be a doctor, then a lawyer, then being a producer. Like, that what became for me was like a strong thing, even in, you know, in high school and college, like wanting to be that producer, going to school to learn to produce music. And, you know, things just changed. So for me, it was never a one thing at the time. It was just like, as a kid, I was just having fun. I was in talent shows. I was trying to be the life of the party. Like, I was that guy that you wanted around to if you wanted to have a good time.
Were you like a class clown or entertained your friends during that
I
time?
would say I was a problem child. I think, I don't know if it was seeking attention. Like, I would just do things. I would remember my parents would constantly have to come to school for me because I'm in detention or going to principal's office, and I was known for not good stuff. So I would, you know, be putting thumbtacks in a girl's chair or spray mustard on somebody. Like, just, I was a little reckless, a little. So it was challenging in the beginning, and, you know, the way my life just turned around because of God. Like, I just really sit back and I'm just like, man, I just know that I wanted to be something different than what I was representing,
Hmm.
and the change happened. I feel like I don't even know if it was a class clown or just seeking attention, but yeah, I was acting out a lot.
So my premise is when you're around 9 or 10, you fundamentally already have the roots of who you're going to be or what you want to be around that age.
Right.
And whether we manifest it physically, like if we're actively doing it at that time or not, it could be something that's an offshoot. But
Yeah.
during those times, it tends to manifest itself in your adulthood. And you may
Yeah.
not have seen it back then. So I'm just curious. That's why I ask. I ask everybody that question. And 9 times out of 10, what you're doing during those years tends to manifest in your adulthood, but in a more productive, structured way. That's why I
Yeah.
ask.
Yeah. Right now, that's it's true because I'm like, man, I think about, like, was doing music. I was in the band. I was in the choir. I was, you know, playing. You know, so like I said, the entertainment is always, like I said, aspect has been there. Like you said, whether it's being the class clown or trying to entertain people, like that entertainment aspect has always been there, and not really understanding like, oh, this is why he's doing this. He's seeking attention, but in this manner. And like I said, when you get older, now that you feel like, oh, let me come down, you know, doing stand up. Like, stand up was very, very hard for me because it's like, man, you got to go up there and try to make people laugh. And it's just, for me, once I started understanding, like, it's not always just about making people laugh, but just telling your story. And if great
Mhm.
if they laugh, but just being in front of a stage, that's kind of what's home to me. Being on stage, performing, you know, whether it's a talent show, whether it's in the band, in the choir, like, It's been there and not even knowing it. It's been there all this time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So you've done a lot. You've done like more than a lot. and I have to find a way to frame all that you've done and try to ask you these questions and cover everything. So I'm trying to get a timeline of your life and your career. So you said around 18, 19 was the music producer time.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
you were in college during that time?
Right. Yeah. Was in college.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I understand that you won a gold medal.
Yeah. Gold medal in track and field for track. Running. I think it was the 1500 and what was the other one? It was two long distance. I was a long distance runner. So I did cross country. I did track and field. I did wrestling. I was overseas. I lived overseas for 8.5 years of my life. So like Turkey was really where I accomplished those goals.
Where did that fit in the time of the music producer time? Like, how did that fit
That
in?
was before. That was 13, 14. Like
Okay.
really early, like yeah, it was early on before I got because I was overseas. So before I got to the States and understood like really my purpose.
Okay. So looking for your purpose, you just happen to win gold medals.
Yeah,
That's just
yeah.
okay. What does that do to your ego at that age? Did you really know like the weight of what you had or what you did?
No, I mean simply when you say it, when you say gold medals, people automatically think Olympics. Like you win Olympics. And I was like, no. I mean that's just what it was over there. You were in competition and you won gold medals. Where in the States, you probably won't win that. You win first place, second place, third place, whatever. Unless you're in the Olympics, then you're talking gold medals. So for me, I didn't understand the weight of what that was. I just knew that I was a competitor and I wanted to win.
Okay. And so when you were the music producer, you were in the States.
Say it again.
When you became the music producer, you were in the States during that time?
Yeah. I won't even
Okay.
say producer. I was a manager. I didn't produce music, but I try to produce great sound. So I don't want to say I'm a music producer. I mean, it could be multiple things, as we know. But for me, I was one to help push someone to the next level of their excellence.
Okay. All right. And then after that, what came next?
I was modeling, and then the modeling opened a door for the acting because I wasn't thinking about being an actor. The agency I was with had me audition for his PSA, and I booked that PSA. No acting experience, no, like I said, no classes, no nothing, just pure wanted to do it. And so I booked it. It was first paid gig, and I was like, I could do this, and just really started taking it serious. And the rest was history, man. Like 15 auditions later for The Wire. Before first was an extra in that for like season 1 and 2, but said no to that. And just after like the third or fourth time, them asking me to be an extra, I decided yes, I'll do it. And one of the best, decisions of my life because I met Wood Harris. Me and him formed a friendship. And full circle moment is I get booked to be in his crew. Like how ironic is that? So it was
Mm,
nothing but God just aligning things up and just allowing me to be patient and understanding that there's a course that you have to go through and there's no cheat codes to it. You just simply have to go through it. And as my mom said, you can do anything you put your mind to. So for me, auditioning 15 times was a lot. And I was like, man, I'm not going. If they call me again, I'm not going up there, which is like not understanding the game. If they call you back, that's a good thing.
yes.
Not you being tired because you got to do it again, but it's just the right role, had to come about. And so the casting director, Pat Moran, was like, just, you got this. When I got the call back, she was like, do the exact same you did the other day. And I went in there, owned the role, and they called me when I was at work and said, you got the role. And my life changed forever that day. And I went, when I was on set, I felt like I went from being a janitor to part of the company. And it was truly a humbling experience. And man, I'm forever part of history. We just celebrated our 20-year anniversary of The Wire. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
And my next question was going to be, why did you say no? And from what I'm hearing, the no is because of the whole rigmarole of the industry and the hoops that you have to jump through in order to get what you need to get. Is that why? Or
right.
that's
Well,
why?
the no was because I saw the money aspect of it. I was like, well, you guys are paying me whatever, $50 for 8 hours, and I'm like, I get paid more than that at work. Like it has to make sense to me. And so being an extra wasn't something I wanted to be. Although I wanted to be on that show, I said, I want to be on that show. And although I said I wanted to be on that show, I didn't say how I wanted to be on that show. That's the thing. When you say things to the universe, the God hears you. You got to be more specific about what it is. You could say, hey, I want to be over there, but how do you want to be over there? Do you want to be a part of the company? Do you want to be one of the workers, the one that they're, beneath, whatever it is, the janitor? Like you got to be very, very precise of what it is, how you want to be a part of something. So for me, I said I want to be on the show, but I didn't say
Right.
I want to have a speaking role. I don't, now it's like you say you want to be a part of the show. I'm giving you an opportunity to be a part of the show, and you're turning it down. So
Mm-hmm.
who are you?
Right.
So it was a humbling experience where I was like, you know what, maybe this is God testing me. And sure enough, I got a chance to learn and watch and just see how everything plays out because maybe I wasn't ready for the moment that I was about to be presented with. So until I was ready, God
Yeah.
was grooming me.
Right. And that's the reason that I do what I do, to shine a spotlight on situations like that. And you just brought up something really key. You got paid more doing your regular job as opposed to being an extra on one of the top shows in the nation. Talk to me about that grind and that hustle during that time when you were a struggling actor.
Yeah. For me, the good thing was is I always had a job, so I make sure that I didn't just depend on the craft because you know how it is when you're depending on the craft. Sometimes you take roles and take jobs that may not best suit you
Hmm.
career wise, but you do it financially. And so for me, it was never wanting to be driven by money first, but also the project. It had to make sense to me. And so the good thing is that always had a job during that process. It wasn't until when I left, got graduated from college and I was done with the job I was at, and I decided to try to do acting full time and was unemployed and getting unemployment check, and it was like, yeah, now it's like I need to book something. So now the pressure behind auditioning became more about, nah, I need to go book this. I need to book this. Not let me do the work. Let me just have fun. There was no fun. It was like, no, I got to pay bills, so I need to book something. And so for me, the pressure was just different. And I didn't like that. I like to be able to know that, hey, I didn't book the job, but guess what? I still got a job to pay my bills.
Right.
So that was I always tell people, I said, make sure that you have a plan of action. Don't just try to jump out there and be the struggling artist. Don't subscribe to it. It'll get you messed up. Sleeping on people's couches and thinking that's cool. I'm a struggling artist. Like, no, I've been there. I slept on people's couches while having my own home.
Mm.
I was in another state thinking
Yeah.
that was smart. So I'm like, yo, I'm about to sleep in my own car and I got a house and at home in state and I got, my family. But I didn't see. I saw this. I saw a bigger picture in a small frame.
Mhm.
And so, but I didn't have an actual plan of action of a smart one, and I think that for me, it's like, how can you make sure that you fulfill your dream, but not sacrifice your livelihood in the process?
Right.
And that wasn't thought of. Now I can educate other people on that. Like, listen, I've had my job for the past 16 years, and I'm not ashamed. Before I used to be like, I'm not going to tell you I got a job. And it's like, no, I'm not ashamed of it because you know what? It definitely kept me afloat during the pandemic when these people
Hmm.
who were full-time actors were struggling to try to pay their bill because couldn't depend on it anymore. I don't want
Amen.
to just be making it. I want to be good to where I don't have to fake it, so to say.
Right. 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 So, like I think everyone is unanimous on The Wire's probably like the best show ever created for television. Period.
Yeah.
Um, Tell me during about the time that you were making it, like being in the day to day doing the actual making of it. Did you guys know what you had when you were doing what you were doing at that time?
Me being a fan of the show, I definitely knew it was impactful. I think I don't know if we really knew exactly how impactful the show would be
Mm-hmm.
until kind of after we were shooting it. But I knew that for it to touch me and want me to be a part of it, like it was something. And once you're into something, you're just having fun. Like we became a family, and it was bigger than us. But now sitting back and after, you know, afterwards, just the love that we receive on the streets and how people now still gravitate to it. We really, truly, I think we took the moment and we didn't take it for granted. We appreciated it then because we were always together. We would have wire parties and reunions, whatever it was. And it just, for me, I feel like it continues to keep growing, the fan base. Each and every day we get new fan base and people celebrating the show, people talking about the show, people emulating the show. There wouldn't be a Power without the Wire, a lot of other shows without the Wire. So definitely we open doors for the next generation to come up, and we've created a lot of stars from that show. You got your Michael B. Jordan, you got your Mac Wilds, you got, I mean, Wood Harris was already a star beforehand. You got your Idris Elba, you got your Trey Cheneys. You got so many people that were birthed from the Wire. So including myself, I wouldn't be talking to you if I wasn't on the Wire. I will forever be Melvin Jackson Jr. from the Wire. Like I still say that to this day, and people have the same, you know, reaction they did when we first hit the street. So for me, I maybe didn't truly understand it because I was so immersed in it and just happy to be an actor, a working actor, and to do something I love. So now I think we get to really sit back and just get our roses, man. Just get all of our flowers, and for people to continue to pay homage to us and for us to pay homage to those that open the door for us to do it.
Right, right. So The Wire definitely was your springboard into everything else.
Absolutely. It allowed, I wouldn't be to LA if it wasn't for the Wire. Like that was my springboard. Like this is, let me go in out of LA and get my feet wet and see what I can do.
Right. So do you find that doors readily open up for you more since you've had that on your resume?
Um, absolutely. Absolutely, man. People, I talk about the main, it doesn't matter white, black, who they are. Like I said, have you seen The Wire? They're like, yes, I've seen it. Or if they haven't seen it, they know I've heard about it. Oh, I heard great things about it. So it's definitely a conversation piece. Like when people look up and like, dude, you're on The Wire. That's the first thing you should mention. Like I'm in producer sessions, whatever. They're like, I would be both like, yeah, I'm from The Wire. And it's like, I do, because that is one of the biggest things in my young career that I had. And so to be a part of that is pretty amazing. And to continue to keep standing the test of time, like it's one of those shows, you know, one of those things you can continue watching, like it's yet like you just watch it. It was so many actors in that show, like it's so many to keep a track of. Like people were like, yeah, I was in The Wire too, and I'm like, who did you play? Like we don't know everybody because it was so many people. Like they would get people off the the streets to be authentic Baltimore people representing Baltimore City. So as you see, and when you're on the city right now on HBO, like you see a lot of
Yeah.
the same actors in The Wire on that, and they just continue to keep using.
It's so funny. I
Keep
was
using.
watching that the other day, and one of the characters, one of the policemen, I saw I was like, wait a minute, that looked like Boo grown up. It was Boo.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I do like that about the Baltimore scene. They tend to pull from their own, and they
yeah.
produce some great people out of that area. So what's after The Wire? What happened?
Came out to LA, gave myself about a month. I said I gave myself about a month to really like figure out if I'm gonna book something. If I book something, great. If not, I can go home. And I want
Hmm.
to say I was in LA 3 weeks, and then I was supposed to meet with an agent. She's like, hey, I know we're supposed to meet today, but I got you an audition for Everybody Hates Chris, which is Chris Rock's show. And I was like, cool, go in and audition for that. Audition for the main bully. I don't get that role, but they like, they really like you. We want to create this role for you. So I was, had another role as another bully and kind of going, in and out of different roles. And so I was like, cool, I booked something. So now I'm like, all right, I'm gonna stick it out and stay in here. So I do the show, and I'm talking to one of the producers, and they like, we know who you are. We didn't just pick your name out of the hat. Like they knew I was on The Wire. Like they just, was just happy to have me on the show, and then to work with Chris Rock was an amazing opportunity. And then I was, if anybody knows CB4, I was acting in a scene with Gusto, and I'm like, really, dude, you're a legend, dude, Gusto, you the guy. So for me, like that was like my stamp of approval for LA. Like you book something, to book something is very difficult.
Hmm.
So I continued to be out in LA auditioning for things. The Shield, I ended up booking The Shield. but I was in another state when I was heading to another state for a celebrity event when they called and said you booked it. So my money was tight back then, so I couldn't just fly back. So I always mad to this day because that was another one of my favorite shows. And I'm like, dude, you understand? Like, I auditioned for the show like 5 or 6 times. And the first time I went into audition, I actually crashed audition with my best friend. So, back then you could crash auditions and it wasn't frowned upon.
Right.
Now you can't do that. You be like, man, if you don't get out of here before you never get another job again, that you can't crash no auditions no more.
Right.
But that was the thing. Like, the main thing was getting seen. And so if you're gonna crash audition, you better be good. And so I went in there and I killed it, and I got a call back. And from there they started calling me in, for an audition. So that's what was my thing. And so I just continued to try to make it out of LA until I was just like, you know what? It's not making any sense to stick here and struggle. And I decided to go home and regroup and get a job and then come back out with that job and just really be out to LA and not struggle. And so it was always making sure that I did not struggle.
Right. But at this time, you've established some relationships at this point, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. I was out here hustling.
Talk to me about relationships and how important they are.
Important, man. I want to say couple of the first people I met when I was out in LA was like Anthony Anderson, Megan Good, like people I still keep in contact with to this day, consider friends. And it was all about networking, man. So I always had cards. I made cards and I would pass cards out and, would say Melvin from the Y. Like, it was just, dude, I feel like I had to be that guy that everybody knew. If you didn't know me personally, you knew about me. And so I remember, people, I would always go to events and people were like, man, who's this guy? Like, I see him everywhere. And it went from people were like, who's this guy? So let me find out who this guy is. And so when I introduced myself, hey, how you doing? Melvin Jackson from The Wire. Oh, yeah, what's up, dude? And it just connected from there. I had the sidekick, T-Mobile sidekick, and that was my thing. I could walk up to Denzel or somebody like, hey, let me get your number. Like, my friends would joke about, and they was like, man, Mel, you just walk up to everybody with the sidekick and be like, hey, let me get your number. And they'd be like, okay, here's my number. You know what I mean? Like, they feel awkward and like really maybe not wanting to get a number, but then it was like, okay, let me get a number or let me get an email. So for me, my wife would say that I never met a stranger I've never met a stranger in my life. But for me, it's just like, man, you only got one life to live, and I'm a hustler, and I network like crazy. And I feel like if you don't go out and take a chance on yourself, why should anybody else? And Amen. I've just never been afraid to network, man. I feel like, this is who I have to be. And people call me the mayor because I know, I'll say everybody, but almost everybody or everybody knows me, but it's for the right reason. It's because I'm a good guy. I want the best out of myself. I want the best out of people that I'm in contact with. And I'm just there for other people. It's not just a Melvin Jackson Jr. show. It's like, no, how can we all win?
Exactly. And it's also about the energy that you exude too. I mean, what you put out is what you get back. If you come out and you present yourself with no foolishness will live in your space. Not saying it'll be all good, but primarily good will come back to you.
Right, exactly.
So everybody hates Chris. What was that atmosphere like being on that set?
It was great, man, to work with Terry Crews, Tashina Arnold, and then you got the young Tyler Williams, Tashawn Richmond. Yeah, man, they all were so cool, and to see them now in their careers and just blossom, man. It was just a great atmosphere. And Chris Rock was always on set all the time. He directed one of my episodes, and gave me notes, and it was just a great situation, man. I was honored to be a part of that. And for people, a lot of people would know me more from the Everybody Hates Chris, which was interesting, than The Wire. Like, it was weird. They was like, oh yeah, I remember the Everybody Hates Chris. I'm like, you do? So yeah, it was definitely a show to be a part of. It was a great atmosphere, so I had no complaints.
That's good. And then what happened after Everybody Hates Chris?
Everybody Hates Chris. That's when things kind of just the auditioning process. It was like that. I wasn't on TV for a while. Like, I auditioned and then I had to start creating. I was like, okay, what am I gonna do? Either I'm gonna stop acting or I'm gonna create projects. And I started creating. I started writing my own projects. I started shooting short films. I started doing web series
Hmm.
and doing comedy as well. Comedy was also kept me motivated to keep going and open up doors for me in the comedy space because before a lot of people only saw me as a serious actor, so I didn't get a lot of only got serious roles and auditions. And so when I started doing comedy, I feel like it um, gave me another attribute. So for me, it was like I can do comedy now. I can have that comedic timing, and so that was for me. Like so, I did a sitcom based on my comedy. It's called "This Is My Life." So why are you laughing? And so I started doing that. My goal was always to work with my friends. So I started doing a lot of projects with my friends, and then I later on 2000, I want to say 2017. I ended up booking the role on to play Eddie. I started to play Curtis Blow in the New Edition story, which
Hmm.
was a full circle moment in itself because New Edition is my favorite group. My first concert I went to as a kid. That was a thing me and my mom and my sister and my cousins and aunt went to. That was our thing to go to New Edition concerts. And so to be playing Curtis Blow, who I was in to from Crush Groove,
Hmm.
was true full circle moment, and everyone that was involved with the project. Wood Harris, I mean, once again working with him, and someone I did The Wire with, and just him being on set, was like, dude, it's so crazy how much you look like Curtis Blow. I still literally transformed into the role, and they said that was one of the hardest roles to cast because man, I was going to audition, I would see like different people for the role, and I was like, I don't know if they know what they're looking for because they was like Curtis Blow is not light skinned, but why is this a light skinned actor auditioning with cornrows?
Yeah.
And so when I auditioned and they went to the tapes, they was like, dude, we got out Curtis Blow, and they was like, happy because they've been having a hard time finding him. They were scratching their heads like, I don't know who we gonna find. And so it was just a beautiful moment when I walked on set, Ollie in hair and makeup, and I just became Curtis Blow without me even trying. It was truly out of body experience, and from there, did another web series called "This Eddie Murphy Role Is Mine, Not Yours," which I paid homage to Eddie Murphy. Decided if I got a chance to if I was auditioning for Eddie Murphy role and I didn't want to leave it into anyone else's hands, I decided I was going to make matters into my own hands and take up my competition. And so doing that blessed me to get nominated for an Emmy, and it was just a crazy moment because something I didn't experience. How you have a dream as a kid. Oh, I want to win a Grammy. I want to win an Oscar, and it's like that was never really. I don't know. I want to say it was not reachable to me, but for me, it was just like I don't. That wasn't just one of my goals. My thing was like I want to be famous. I was always thinking I want to be rich and famous. So to be nominated for an Emmy, like dude, like
Yeah.
that was a true moment that I'm still like in awe of because it's like, yo, this is crazy. And then the crazy thing is my wife also got nominated the same year. So it was nothing but God. We both got nominated the same year, making us the first African American married couple to be nominated for an Emmy the same year. And I'm like, really? Come on. Not even Courtney B. Vance and uh, um,
Angela
Angela
Bassett.
Bassett. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. So I was just like, okay, all right, I'll take that. I'll take
Yeah.
that.
That's a note because that's out there in the world. I don't know if that's a record or not, like a national record, but it's noted about you and your wife being the first African American couple to ever been nominated for an Emmy together.
Man. Yeah, because sometimes people don't want to give you that credit because they feel like you're not big enough. So you gotta etch your own stone in the record books. And so I want
Yeah.
to thank definitely one of our good friend publicists of mine, AJ Alicia Jones, for like pushing for that too. So we
Yeah.
make sure that that's out there.
It's not funny because it is the way life is, but God has a way of blessing
Mm.
you beyond your greatest dreams or beliefs. I want to go back to the Emmy nomination. Do you remember like the moment you found out?
Yeah, dude, I was at work and I remember looking up and seeing that my wife was nominated. Like, and I called her and I'm like, babe, like, yo, you Emmy nominated. She was like, yeah, I know, but what about you? I said, I don't know. So she looked up and she was like, "Yo, babe, you Emmy nominated." I'm like, "Yo, for real?" Like I was. After that, I couldn't work no more. I was such in cloud nine. I was like, man, I'm ready to go home. Like people don't understand like how crazy this is. Like I try to contain myself. And I remember when our good friends, Shannon Sylvain, God rest her soul, she called me and left me a message. She was like, "I'm so glad that you didn't answer. Like I don't know how you contain yourself at work. Like, but like, yo, you did it. Like you had the vision. Like God just truly blessed you." And like I saved that message and just like I had it as my ringtone because it's just like that was my awe moment. Like, dude, you serious, guy? You really? This is not a joke. Like, and it was definitely a humbling experience, man. Like that journey, like, and like people were calling me, like trying to, end up getting a manager from that. I ended up, working with publicists that were, working the Emmy campaign, and just, it was a blessing, man. I tell people I wish I could just bottle that moment up and replay it every so often, because when you're so in awe and you're so unexpected of something, like you sometimes don't always get a chance to really enjoy it because it's just so fast paced.
Mm-hmm.
So fast paced. And the great thing is that I got to do it with my wife, and people know about her. She's not one for the red carpets. Like she's just about the work. Like, so the simply that we were able to do this, and it was just a fun experience, and we got a chance to do it together, which is the way I feel like God intended for it to be, so we continue to be represent His kingdom and build up Him, and make sure that He gets the glory, not us. And I think that we were just able to remain humble, man, and just like be thankful of it, and like to be the category we're in, like to be in the company. Like, yeah, I didn't win, to have lost to James Corden. It's not a bad feat. It's like he's James Corden, and so for me, I'm like, I'm a competitor, so I want to win just like anything else. So losing is not a hard pill to swallow. So, but I had to lose in a way that was pleasing to God, because people are watching. People want to see how you win, and people want to see how you lose. Now, first you may be losing in the beginning, and people want to see like how does he take that? Is he a sore loser? Is he still gonna walk with his head up? Is he gonna walk with his head down? Like how does he lose? And I feel like me losing taught me how to be a winner, no matter if I lose. It's one thing to lose, but not lose everything. You can lose, but what did you lose? Did you lose a little bit of pride? Did you lose a little moment? But guess what? That loss pushes you to be your greatest person that you can be. As we know, some of our greatest people that who they are took losses. Martin Luther King took losses. Malcolm X took losses.
Yeah.
But guess what they did? That forever etched in stone of who they are, what they did for our people. So I'll take a loss as long as the cost doesn't outweigh the loss.
And look, here you are nominated again.
Not yet. Not yet.
Put it into existence.
There we go. I'll take it. I'll receive it.
Let's talk about the project. Talk about that.
Right now, I have my domestic violence documentary that's on the Emmy ballot. This it's called "I'm a Survivor, No Longer a Victim," and that's being considered for outstanding documentary or nonfiction special. So it's definitely a project that I is far left from any project that I've done. It's simply to provoke conversation, to bring awareness to domestic violence, to help share the survivor story, and to make it more about them than about me. And I was just the little part that that pushed this movement along, because I feel like for so many years we've known about domestic violence, we talked about it, but we really not continue to talk about it and say, okay, we know what's happening. How do we put a stop to it? And most times it is men, hurting women. But now it's women hurting women, or men hurting, or women hurting men, or men hurting men. Like, it's now there's nobody immune to this. So it's like, how do we continue to shed light on this, bring awareness to it, and put a stop to it? We gotta stop saying we love somebody, but then putting our hands on them. The next love. You got to control our emotions, and if you feel like you need to put your hands on somebody, like walk away. And so for me, it was bigger than than just about me. It was like, okay, how can I do my part as a man in this world, and support beautiful women, support beautiful men, whoever. Like, that's how do we continue to keep the conversation going and do my part. So this was part of the me doing my part. It was hard. It was one of the hardest projects I ever had to do. And so now we're streaming on All Black. Even you go to Amazon Prime and you can, watch it do All Black as well. But it's free for the first 7 days. It's a must watch. It's a much needed conversation, and I'm just honored to be a part of this storytelling and to have these courageous survivors sharing their stories, and people who share stories of people they know who've gone through domestic violence. And so it's definitely a must watch, much needed conversation, and I'm just doing my part in this movement to continue the conversation.
That's awesome, brother. We've been kind of following each other for a while now, and I've been a fan, but now that I'm interviewing you and I'm talking to you, I'm even bigger fan, because I didn't
Thank
know your legacy was as great as it is.
you.
And, uh,
Mm.
I think that you're an awesome artist. I think that you
Thank
have a
you.
very great future in front of you. Uh,
Right. I want real quick. It's interesting you say legacy, man. I'm trying not to get emotional, man, because I sit back and like I said, I forget um, what I've done, and I think that's why I feel like God does that for a reason, so I don't get caught up on myself and make it about me and
mm,
people patting me on the back. It's like, no, man, I'm just here living in my purpose, building my legacy. So at the end of the day, you get to say, man, Melvin, he did his job. He was here to encourage people. He was here to be a blessing. He wasn't here for himself and people, making him feel all puffed up in the chest. It's like, no, like, God allowed me to be here to tell the story that he wants it to be told, whether it looks right, it sounds right, or whatever it is. It's like, man, it's bigger than me. I'm just a
yeah.
vessel. So but it took me a while to get here. It took me a while to understand that it's bigger than me. And so
Mm-hmm.
for me, the way I'm always for people, a champion for people, is
Mm-hmm.
because that's how God has me to be. So the legacy part is very key. Me having 3 sons, it has to be bigger than me for me to pass on
Mm-hmm.
to them, so it can be bigger than them.
Yeah, and I want to tell you this. One of my I'm gonna call her a friend. Her name is Deena Williams. I'm not sure if you know who Deena Williams is, but she's pretty much a woman behind music. She's the godmother of
Mhm.
Music Month. She is or was in radio for years. And you watch any kind of artist on Unsung, she's there talking
Mhm.
about past and their history. Like, she's like the bomb.
All
I
right.
interviewed her not too long ago, and she's a legend. And that lady told me that I was important to the culture,
Mm.
and that resonated with me in some type of way. Where, like, now I'm about to get emotional because it it snatched my soul, and all I'm
Right.
doing is doing what I love. I like shining a spotlight on people that are artists, people that are out here trying to make a difference in the world, someone who's trying to blaze a path to help others. And
Right.
I say that to say to you, you're following your path, brother, but the work that you're doing is touching other people in a way. It's inspiring them to find their own path or to do whatever it is
Right.
that they need to do for God. So continue doing what you're doing, because
Thank you, brother.
you're important to the culture.
Yeah, I received that.
Yeah, yeah. So, do you have anything in the works now? What are you doing?
Man, I do a lot of producing behind the scenes, and just simply helping other artists get to their next plateau, so to say. And I have a one of the project that's coming out. I want to say probably July 29th. The project I'm in and producing called Be Somebody, which will be out on Amazon Prime. Um, I have another project I'm a producer of, In a Sentimental Mood, on Tubi. I have My series, This Eddie Murphy Role Is Mine, Not Yours, on Tubi, Amazon Prime. Um, Man, there's so many other projects. I'm trying to think. A bunch of stuff that's on Tubi that I'm a producer of. Yeah, man, it's just a crazy thing when you have so many things. You're like, oh man, this is what I need to talk, what I'm doing. And so for me, it's simply just helping people um, live their dreams. And so I've been, like I said, doing a lot of consulting and helping people and seeing doing my part um, and just enjoying the process, man. Just enjoying the process. Um, yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful thing.
Who are your inspirations? Who inspires you?
I want to say my mom, and my dad, man. Just my mom, like I said, simply always just motivating me to live out my greatest desire, and that's just to reach for the sky. And my dad, who was, I mean, he was, I mean, I think he's the reason I became, I mean, was Emma Hustle. Like I have a jack of all trades because my father did everything. He was a limousine driver, he was a truck driver, he was a, tinted windows, he just cooked, he was a catering business. Like he was that dude. Like just did everything, and so he's very good at it. And so for me, I think that's where I get that drive from, just doing multiple things. Because I'm like, if it makes money and is legit, let's do it. If I'm good at it, let's do it. Let's make it happen. So those are my inspiration, and I think people that I look up to in the business, just seeing people like Eddie Murphy, and you see got your Puff Daddies, P Diddy. That's who I emulated as far as in the music business, and then Eddie Murphy was who would really drove me to be an actor, comedian, and just these other artists that I'm intrigued by, that are just amazing, that just haven't got their opportunity to shine. And there's just so many people that's way more talented than I am. That just all they need is one opportunity, and man, they're gonna blow the world away. So for
Right.
me, I'm inspired by the people that's coming behind me, the people who I've been rocking with from day one, and so we inspire each other, and we just continue to keep being motivated, man. Allowing God to allow us to be motivated by ourselves. For me, it's like it's not too much that I need to do something I need to watch or to get motivated. I'm motivated when I wake up in the morning. Like it's just a different. Like I'm like, dang, why am I so happy? Like why am I so like I'll get this spark, and I'm like, oh, it's about to be on. They don't even know, and that's just that. I need that every day to just
Yeah.
feel that for no apparent reason, but just to be ready to move on what it is that I need to move in.
Yeah. That's definitely food for the soul. So one thing before we go, I need for you to put a good word in with your wife, brother, because I need her on my show. I want to talk to her. I want to
Gotcha.
pick her brain. And is there anybody that you want to shout out?
Definitely want to shout out my mom, man. Been my rock from day one, my supporter. I wouldn't be here without her. I put her through a lot, but she stuck with me, stuck by me, prayed over me, continued to put anointing all on me. It was like I see good in my son. A praying, worshiping mother. Like, man, we all need that. And definitely my wife, man, just continue to allow me to learn from her as an actor. Like she's an amazing, dope actor, and I see how she works and how I continue to try to elevate to that level because she puts in the work. And me and my kids, man, I love my sons, my three sons who have been nothing but amazing. And definitely my firstborn. I had my first kid at 17, and we grew up together. We learned a lot from each other, and so he got to see all of it, all the hard work, all the falls, all the ups and downs. And so I'm definitely grateful for the people that I have in my life. My best friend Brandon Fobbs, who's also on the wire with me. Like, to me, I just got some good people in my life. Brandon Larkins. Like, yeah, let's go. I can go on and on, man. The list. I just got some great people in my life, a great support system that I couldn't have made it this far without. And continue to lift me up, support me, and all my supporters, man. I don't even call them fans. All my supporters, they've just been supporting me, and I
Mm.
love it. I couldn't, be more grateful, and just for God to just continue to move me in the right direction, for Him to show me, what's next, and
Yeah.
I'm just, doing the work.
Cool. And tell people where they can find you and follow you.
Melvin Jackson Jr. on all social media platforms. MelvinJacksonJr.com is my website. And yeah, man, people know they reach out to me, and we have a conversation, and we build, and we go to the next level. Unless, you know, I'm not. I may be in Hollywood. I'm never Hollywood because God keeps me grounded. So I'm here, man. I thank you for wanting to interview me. I don't take it lightly. I don't take it for granted.
Oh,
Anytime anyone wants to interview me is always humbling. Always like,
yeah.
man, you want to talk to me? And the simple fact that I've been in this business for over 22 years is just amazing, and still standing strong. Like, it's definitely nothing but God.
So I wear a hat for a number of projects, and any project that I'm dealing with tends to deal with journalism primarily. You, sir, anything that you're doing, anything you want to promote, anytime that you want to talk, you need a platform, you're one of those people. I'm always here for you. So anytime that you have a project you want to get to the masses, please, you always have a home here.
Sounds like a plan. You ain't got to tell me. You know me. I'm like, I'm here tomorrow. Let's go.
And I just want to say this before I leave. For anyone who is like trying to join in the live, I normally don't include people in on the live because I try to make the time about the person that I'm talking to. So I do apologize. It's not like I was ignoring you, but this is Mr. Melvin Jackson's time. So yeah. Be
So
well.
we love you all. I want to thank you guys all for watching, man. I see your comments. I thank you guys. I love you guys. And yeah, you already know how to connect with me.
All right. I appreciate you, brother. Be well and be
Thank you. I
blessed.
appreciate you, man.
And continue to inspire.
Absolutely. You too.
All right. Be blessed.
All right. Happy Juneteenth. Have a good weekend.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Yeah. All right.